Like, there were many moments when on this road trip where Max was like, we'll get there, it's fine. And I'm seeing it, I'm like, it says 10%. That's not fine.
Because I'm thinking
what if it's wrong?
I'm thinking like Kyle on YouTube.
So
if we arrive and we get stranded, that's a great video. I'm like, out of spec style arrival, no. 2%, 1%.
And I said no, and I just went the speed
This
limit.
is why it's great having you as a voice occasionally on the channel, because you're like most normal people. Most normal people don't want to arrive, especially if they're new to electric cars, at a stop with 10%,
2% or 3%.
I'm like, great! I used all the battery. A+. Hey, what's up? Hello, everybody. It's me, my girlfriend Gosia, and my sunglasses again, and we're all here to talk about our 3,000-mile road trip, Gosia, that we just did like a few weeks ago.
Memory, yes.
It was awesome, honestly. And we didn't film and vlog the whole thing. This isn't going to be like if you watch Out of Spec Dave or Out of Spec Motoring, you'll see Kyle's road trips where he vlogs the whole thing. It's like a 2-hour long video. A lot of you like to watch that. For those of you who come to this channel, I want to make a slightly shorter video where Gosia, you and I recount what happened. I've got receipts, I've got photos.
You got receipts and photos. I'll try my best to remember because it's now been like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so we'll flash photos throughout this video, as well as the Better Route Planner, basically just a map route of what we did each day, how much progress we made. So I feel like this is super important because 3,000 miles in the southwestern US in an electric car that's not a Tesla, it's actually not the easiest thing in the world. So let's talk about how it went.
I mean, I thought it went pretty well. You say it's not the easiest thing in the world. Nothing's easy. Nothing worth doing is easy, right? Well, that's not completely true.
That's such a great way to introduce this. Well, let's talk all about it.
I almost said, well, except for Kraft mac and cheese, that's pretty easy, and it's also worth doing. But yeah, I think it went well. Just took some planning, make sure that we didn't find ourselves stranded in the middle of the desert, and almost did get stranded in the middle of Death Valley.
You're cutting forward. You're cutting forward a lot.
Sorry. Okay, well, you'll just have to keep watching to learn more about that.
Okay, well, so keep watching. She just previewed. Very exciting. That's a thumbnail, right? We almost died.
Yes, that was
it's
really
exciting.
fun.
Okay,
That's
cue intro.
dramatic,
We'll see you after the intro. Gosia, day one, we started basically where we live, right? Denver, Boulder area. Mm-hmm. We actually started in Denver because that was closer. But we moved from Denver. Where did we end up in that day?
After the first day, we ended up near Durango.
In Colorado.
Yes.
Yep, and just, yes. I forget
San Juan National Forest?
Yes. So to get there, the reason we did this is because our whole route was getting to Tahoe, California, where we had a really cool connection that basically allowed us to get a really nice house for a few days there, which was really pleasant, but we had to make it there first.
Yeah.
So, of course, we decided to do this in my Polestar that's electric, just for fun.
funsies.
And to recap, for those of you not familiar with the Polestar 2, it's fairly average, honestly, in terms of modern electric car capabilities. It has a rated 230 to 270 mile range, depending on whether you get the single motor version or the dual motor all-wheel drive version like I have, which also has a 20-inch wheel. It's like the worst possible one for range. We also decided to add load bars and bikes to the top.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. We were so aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So we had gravel bikes on the top. Right now we don't. So we're getting a lot more range as we drive to beautiful, Estes Park in Colorado. But basically, right, we're going from Denver to California. To get there, we decided for the first kind of, the whole trip was a big loop. We went the southern route to get there. So that's why we stopped in Durango for the night. And do you remember what the journey, Gosia, was like as we kind of left Denver, got south deeper into Colorado?
You mean like the geology and geography, what kind of biomes we went to? Is that?
That's all interesting, but also the charging stuff, everything that we came across.
That's what I'm interested in. Yeah. I thought it was fine. I don't remember. We stopped at the Great Dunes National Park on our way.
Great Sand Dunes.
Sand Dunes, yeah. And those are beautiful. We can show some Polaroid pictures from that. And
before we get there, though, I want to stop. Our very first stop of the trip was Pueblo, if you remember, which is South Colorado.
Oh, yeah. We did stop in Pueblo.
It's a less fortunate part of Colorado, to put it mildly. And you can tell that coming in. And the Electrify America station there, I thought, was pretty abysmal. I mean, like,
Yeah, not the
We
best.
found, we were lucky. No one was using it, but out of 4 stalls, Gosia, if you remember, 1 was working and had a full charge.
Yeah, not the best, but we made it happen, Captain.
Yeah,
It worked
luckily,
out.
no one was using it, so we could use the one
Yeah.
that was, like, I actually plugged into one first, and it just was giving my car no power. I plugged in the second one, and it actually was charging my car for this Polestar to where it's capable of 150 kilowatts peak charging speed. Of course, that lowers as you charge your car further. But Gosia, we arrived at each of our stops, like, pretty much 10 to 15%. We charged to, like, 70%. And I think the big question everyone asks is, you know, what do you do when you stop? And in Pueblo and places like that, we would just go to the gas station bathroom, maybe get a snack.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, right, our next major stop was really Great Sand Dunes. To get to Great Sand Dunes, we had to use a slower 50 kilowatt state charger.
Yes,
Remember?
and yes, it was so. It's this cute little like old style diner that we stopped at, and it was essentially, I forgot what it was called, but essentially the owner, if I understood correctly, like bought or just maintained this like charge point.
It wasn't a charge point unit. It was interestingly a state unit. I think
State
it was
unit.
like part of EV Trails, Colorado.
EV Trails, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I don't know the exact ownership model. Maybe there was a partnership or something that changed hands, but basically it was affiliated with this guy. We didn't have any other options because this diner was the only thing, and it was fair enough. It was a nice place, so we had lunch there.
We had lunch there, and then we still had to kill some time. And next door there was this really cute like wood carving store where had a bunch of these like cute little bears that said like "go away" or "gone fishing" or "welcome" if you're more positive and you want a more welcoming
A bear
approach.
for every personality.
For every personality. There's this like scary giant horse head thing.
Yeah.
Just scary bears. We took some fun pictures.
I feel like it's worth pointing out, a lot of people who get electric cars the first time or are looking at them don't realize you can just lock your car and walk away. That's what we're doing this whole time.
You don't have to just sit in your car for
No,
like
it's
2
not
hours.
like pumping gas where you're like, holding something.
Yes, absolutely not.
No.
So it's not, you're not putting this super flammable fuel that needs you to be present and like completely present, but not in the way as in Zoolander present. Do you remember that scene?
It's been so many years, we gotta watch
Yeah.
it. But
Okay.
and for those
We
of
can
you,
include that scene here, or at least like a meme. I don't know.
I'll try to find the clip. Link me and I'll include the clip. Gosia. But so for context, this slower one was a 50 kilowatt unit, and for those of you who don't speak nerd, the 150 kilowatt Electrify America unit. Everyone rags on Electrify America being unreliable network, but the one working unit we had in Pueblo got us back on the road in like 25 to 30 minutes. The reason we needed to kill time with the cute bears and everything was it was a 50 kilowatt unit, which is honestly fine. Like, I think those are fine fast chargers to have in a town because it's a perfect length of time if you're like, eating lunch and stopping. And we made it work. But on a road trip, ideally, I would like to see faster chargers. And the 50 kilowatt, I feel like that charger was designed, it had one CCS plug and one CHAdeMO, which is the standard the Leaf uses. Yeah. I feel like that was put in the ground, like when people were thinking of cars like the Bolt and the Leaf that don't charge that quickly. Even for my Polestar, which is not a bleeding edge car, we weren't utilizing the full charge speed, and let alone, Gosia, if we had, your favorite car, a Hyundai Ioniq 5, we could have been blazing with the right charger, but we didn't have it there. But then we went on to Great Sand Dunes. If I remember correctly, no chargers to speak of in that park.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Beautiful park, but
so we had to make sure that we could get there and leave and make our campsite.
Yeah, so we did a deep charge at that diner we've been talking about in the last 5 minutes. We had to charge pretty deep at that slow speed charger. What I mean by deep is we charge, like, normally I like to charge 70 or 60%. It sounds low, but because you charge slower the further you go into the battery pack. I think we ended up charging like 90% to feel comfortable going into Great Sand Dunes, and then after Sand Dunes, which was beautiful, making it to our next stop. This was an awesome small town, like very rural Colorado.
Yes, you love Durango.
No, we're not talking about Durango yet, Gosia. The one stop between Sand Dunes and Durango. God. Do you remember? Okay, so
no, remind me.
There was a ChargePoint Express unit, and I was raving about it because it had really cheap electricity. And for those who aren't familiar, unlike Electrify America, ChargePoint units, whether it's a DC fast charger or a slower AC post, they're managed usually by someone like a government or a business who buys them. not ChargePoint themselves. So that means the business owner, based off the region and their whatever they want, can set this price, which sometimes means you end up with hideously expensive charges. In this case, Gosia, in this town, I think it was like 16 cents a kilowatt hour, which is really cheap for DC fast charging.
Yes, okay. And so we stopped for boba?
Yeah, we got boba. It was a really, there was a really nice boba place.
I remember the boba.
Yeah. So for EV drivers, stopping there was like a 125 kilowatt charge point unit. Nothing super fast or fancy, but hey, we made another stop of it. By that point, it was like afternoon. Then we finally make it to Durango. And Gosia, if I remember correctly, we found a level 2 charger in Durango, I think.
Yeah, so I remember we found we followed this map to this charger behind some building, and then there was like a Tesla there, and then we were like, we're not going to this charger, and then we went somewhere else.
I don't remember that, honestly.
And we thought about going up to the campus, the top of the mountain. We were like, no, we're not going to go there.
So there were, on the ChargePoint and PlugShare app, you can filter free chargers. We found a free level 2, but we found out it was kind of for the university, and it would have been a mile walk to where we wanted to go downtown. So we went more towards the transit center of Durango. We parked there, and Gosia, it was really cool because if I remember correctly, there were like 2 or 3 of those ChargePoint level 2 units.
Yes.
Again, for those who don't speak nerd, level 2 is just that slower charging, the kind you might have in your house that's really easier to set up. It's alternating current, uses the car's onboard charger. Long story short, it's just slow charging. Instead of like 30 minutes to 40 minutes or less if you have an iX 5, it's like 7-8 hours. But we just wanted a little bit to get to that campsite. We had dinner in Durango into town.
Perfect amount of time for some tacos and some...
Yeah. Tacos and with anything
nice walks. I remember I tried that that weird drink that they had there. It was not good.
Yeah, they had a bad cocktail, but I didn't. Yeah, so we're not going to shout out that taco place. No. But Durango's a cool town. I was honestly pretty impressed with it. I think we saw a Rivian too. Parked.
Yeah, no, we saw Rivian's parked. I remember that.
Yeah, so Rivian truck, that was cool. And then we basically had at that point, I think 20-30%, not a ton of charge, but we barely needed any to get to our campsite because I made the point, Gosia, of on recreation.gov, reserving a campsite in the broad area of the San Juan National Forest where I filtered electrical.
Oh, yes.
And so there was a NEMA 1450 is what they call it, outlet there, and it was a tent site. These are super rare because usually campsites, if you've ever camped, that have electrical, they're RV exclusive. This was a tent site with electric.
Or they might even just have the normal outlets.
Or just 110 volt, the kind of wall outlet you see. Yeah. This was the higher power 50 amp outlet that you want for us to plug in our mobile charger. If you don't know what a mobile EVSE is, please watch the video that we filmed where we talk about how that saved us.
Yes.
I knew that was in my car. We used it. If your car doesn't come with one, you can buy one, but check out the video Gosia and I did. EVSE stands for Electric Vehicle Supply Equipment. Most people just call them chargers. Nerds get angry when you call them chargers because when you
don't
when
say
you
that.
use alternating current,
get mad at you again.
When you use alternating current, technically using the car's charger, and the pluggy thing is electric vehicle supply equipment because that's a word people know.
Yes, a non-technical term that many colloquial common name is charger. Scientific name is.
If someone calls it a charger and you're a nerd watching this, don't get mad at it. But the point is, we know it's not a charger. Anyhow, we used my car's thing that converted that Gosia 240 volt 50 amp socket into my car, and we set up our tent. I'll show the photo. Car looked sick. So did our tent. And we had a beautiful night camping in San Juan National Forest.
Yeah, it was so fun. We made a fire because of all the rain. We didn't have a fire ban, so we made s'mores. Oh, it was so fun.
Yeah, really fun time. And best part, we woke up in the morning 100% charged.
And rested.
And of course, we were also recharged.
Yes, we were also recharged. Both recharged.
Yeah. So we, folded down the mattress and the tent, got everything back in the car. We'd left the bikes on the whole time because it was a fairly safe campsite. They were locked.
Yeah, it's pretty. There wasn't that many people around.
It was nice. So we continue on Gosia, and we go through basically the rest of Colorado into New Mexico. At this point, we weren't in New Mexico for long, and if I remember correctly, we decided it was a situation where to get to a DC fast charger, we could either go out of our way to another fast charger, or we could stop, I forget the town name in New Mexico, at a free charge point level 2 unit in a mall, comfortably get some charge and get some breakfast. And I figured we'd do that. Yeah,
and that was fun. We got some breakfast. We got to go to the mall before anyone ever goes to the mall because we left not crazy early, but like
Yeah, well, to be honest, Gosia, this mall is probably on the verge of shutting down. But they had a charge
classic
point.
mall, you know. Whoops.
Yeah, America
Rip.
2023.
Malls.
I don't think there's a lot of people going there, but hey, they had a charge point, you know, that was free. We didn't complain. So
Yeah, we
an
took
hour
it.
and a half of charging on that while I had the world's largest cinnamon roll and you had a nice sandwich.
It was the world's largest breakfast sandwich. It was kind of overwhelming.
Passes, by the way, super cool car, not electric. Sorry to tangent.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we're on our next adventure right now.
yeah, we're always on adventures. That's why you listen to us, right?
Yeah. But yeah, we can drop the link to that world's biggest cinnamon roll, and
that's a place worth scouting out.
Oh yeah, it was so good. And there's like a snow cone shop right next door, but I didn't really want a snow cone.
I gotta say, the people in New Mexico, at least this town, didn't seem like very artesian, high-end coffee. It's like diner coffee, but hey, that cinnamon roll made out for it.
Oh my gosh,
Wasn't
yeah,
up to
I'm
my
still
hipster
kind of
standards.
not up to it. I'm still a little bit cranky or angry at you for finishing up the cinnamon roll when I wasn't paying attention.
So to recap, what happened, Gosia, is we got back in the car with the remnants of the cinnamon roll.
And I said that I would finish it up, but I wasn't hungry because I had the world's largest breakfast sandwich. And then I went to like
keep going on the journey. The Petrified Forest
National Park.
Not state, federal national park in Arizona. By this point, we were only in New Mexico very briefly.
Down like the corner. We just
we just cornered around it, got into Arizona, and first big stop was Petrified Forest. And this was a cool national park. They actually had a charge point at the visitor center. Again, level 2, slow charger. It was fine.
But it was there, but yeah.
But here's the issue, Gosia. It was at the visitor center, and there were things to do at the visitor center. But very quickly,
There's only so many things you can visit at the visitor center meant to help you explore the whole park.
We got talking to a very nice lady who gave us like 10 different maps and brochures. It was very exciting. We told her we're on our way because our stop for this day was the Grand Canyon. That was where we were trying to go for the night.
That's where we were crashing, Yes.
And she's like, oh, well, on your way there, see all this and this. And we neglected to tell her, well, actually, we have an electric car and we need to...
They're like, actually, like, we can't do all the things. She was like, you have to go here. She's a very nice ranger. Love our national park rangers. They're the best. But unfortunately, that's on our next trip. We'll go to all of those places.
Yeah, so we did see a few cool things. I'll include a picture. We saw basically layers of history, literally geological layers of history. Super cool. We actually did get a chance to drive through, and this is where it comes into play with range, where we weren't too worried about making the next stop, but because we followed her advice to at least do this detour, Gosia, right?
Yeah. And
go drive around the park. Doing that got us back onto, was it 40? I think Interstate 40. Anyhow, it got us back on the big interstate. We needed to keep going west through Arizona. Yeah. But we took this big diversion. You'd think, oh, you had a distance, Max. That means you took away range. No, because we were going such a low speed as we were seeing these sites, like 45 miles an hour instead of, 70, 80. We had way less range impact, and especially with bikes on the roof. But honestly, guys, any electric car, like everyone's like, oh, you're carrying a few extra suitcases, you're carrying a few extra passengers, that's what kills your range. No, electric cars really don't care about weight, Gosia. Like, they don't.
Oh, they don't care?
No.
Did you ask?
I didn't ask if the Polestar how it felt.
You asked, and the Polestar said it's the bike stuff.
We had the cinnamon roll that I finished, and having that extra weight of the cinnamon roll barely affected our range. Whether I ate it or you ate it.
Still a little angry about that, but that's okay.
We're both petite people, and it was fine. No, it's aerodynamic drag, guys.
Yeah.
The more you have a route.
Sorry. I saw a Kona EV. It was beautiful.
I see an air-cooled Porsche. You see a Kona. This is so much better car preferences. But anyhow, guys, when you have a roof box on your car, bikes on the roof, it adds a penalty. And a bunch of people commented when I showed my roof bike set up there, like, why don't you have a hitch? And like Polestar, at least for my car, it's like really expensive to add the electronic fancy rear hitch because that's how I would want to do it. And guys, if you have nice bikes where you have aerodynamic wheels, those bikes should not be sideways because I feel like that would just kill my range too. So I'd rather have the bikes just facing forward. This is a very bike nerd note, but like...
And you're like, you get cool points.
And it looks cool. Yeah. I grew up watching Tour de France where they have station wagons with the bikes on the roof. And maybe some of them have hitch racks, but guys...
So this is pretty much a Tour de France.
Basically Tour de France setup.
Yeah,
and guys, hitch racks mean you don't have access to your trunk. We were on a road trip. We're having to access bags and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I like being able to open any door at any time.
Anytime.
Anytime.
All doors must be accessed.
that's a long diversion. I might cut that in the final video.
No. That's include that. But I do remember us getting really stressed out because Google Maps
we're using, by the way, guys, Google Maps built-in Polestar navigation because it uses an Android operating system. This is how we add stops. We roughly planned with this tool called a Better Route Planner, a great app. Rivian just bought the company and integrated it into their cars. But they say, fingers crossed, they're not going to kill it for other cars. Anyhow, if you're not using this, guys, already, it's a great way to plan your routes, especially in a non-Tesla car. Adds the stops. We use that as a rough draft, but real time in the day, we were using Google Maps.
Yes, and it's cool because it also gives you your estimated charge percentage once you get to your destination, which is probably a charger. But I do remember when we were going that the maps got mixed up. It didn't understand our plan. And we were really worried for a second going through Petrified Forest that we would be stranded.
Because Google Maps, usually smart at the best of times, but at the worst of times, it can get a little confused. And it's like, wait, you're going to go back on this road you've been on, then go back on the highway? It's like, sorry, buddy, you're going to ride with minus 11% battery.
No.
We panic, briefly recalculates, figures out what we're actually doing.
And then we were fine. And I was such a good driver. I'm such an efficient driver, i.e. slow, that we ended up getting more charge.
And guys, if you take one thing away from this video and you're worried about electric car range, slow down.
Slow down.
That's literally.
Slow down your mind, take a deep breath, and also slow down driving. You don't need speeding tickets.
No,
anyway.
I was shocked, Gosia, at the difference between going 80 miles an hour and 65, in the right lane. So much more range. You noticed this when you were driving too, right? It would bump up basically. The more we drove fast, the more we noticed the estimated range at our next stop would go down. The more we drove cautiously, it would go up. And you can do other nerdy things like draft trucks and stuff, but don't
overthink it. You would just
that's also dangerous for various reasons, so you shouldn't do that.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what drafting trucks is. I'll look it up later. But I do remember that there were many moments on this road trip where Max was like we'll get there, it's fine. And I'm seeing it, I'm like, it says 10%. That's not fine.
Because I'm thinking YouTube. I'm thinking like Kyle on YouTube.
So
if we arrive and we get stranded, that's a great video. I'm like out of spec style arrival, 2%, 1%.
And I said no. And I just went the speed limit.
This is why it's great having you as a voice occasionally on the channel, because you're like most normal people. Most normal people don't want to arrive, especially if they're new to electric cars, at a stop with 10%.
Or 2% or 3%.
I'm like, great, I used all the battery. A+.
That's how I am with my phone battery. But you see, I'm not riding around in my phone.
Yeah.
We're opposite that way, but that's okay.
But anyhow, good voice of reason, and we made it at this point where basically I think we had 1-2 stops between Petrified Forest and Grand Canyon. Oh yeah, we saw, what was the site we saw? We managed to find this canyon that was very close to it wasn't Grand Canyon. Oh my God.
It was some other canyon that closed.
It was
it was in Flagstaff. So we were stopping. Was it before or after dinner? I think it was before dinner.
Before dinner. We were aiming to stop for dinner in Flagstaff.
Yes, we were. So
we pulled in 15 minutes before they closed. We're not.
No, it was 5 minutes. It was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We were cutting.
The Rangers are just go do your thing. They let us take a really quick photo. It was pretty. Then we got back to Flagstaff.
Yes, we literally had by the time we parked, we had 3 minutes. I had some sort of weird reaction with my sunscreen, so my eyes were tearing up and crying. We're running through, and we're we just want to see the gorge. And there's this beautiful viewpoint from the visitor center, but there are all the rangers were stationed at all the trails this, and they were you can only go to the visitor center. You cannot go to the
to be fair, Gosia, if you're imagine you work a retail or a service job and someone comes in 2 minutes before
I support
closing.
it. I just never encountered anything like that. They're real serious about their deadline.
Which is fair enough. I mean, it's already
Friday night.
It's 6 o'clock. They want to get home. Anyhow,
it was 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
maybe.
Whatever. I don't know. They're park rangers. They probably live 3 hours away.
I love them so much.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yes.
But we go to Flagstaff. Ooh. We have dinner there, and I believe were there chargers in Flagstaff? I think also.
There were. There's a bunch of chargers in Flagstaff.
Yeah, another situation where we went to the town transit center. They had charge points. This is fairly common in most towns, which is nice. So we just got a little bit of extra charge while we ate up, and then we made it to our hotel, which was in Williams, Arizona. We didn't quite go to the Grand Canyon yet. That was the plan for the next morning.
Yes, we were hoping to find, we were thinking about maybe doing another campsite with electricity or RV stop.
But you booked this hotel.
Yes.
You found on a better route planner, and you're like, oh, Max has a charging right at the hotel.
And we're like, cool. Like, the name of the charger and better route planner was like the name of the hotel. So I was like, okay, neat. Like, two birds, one stone.
Yeah. And we called the hotel too ahead of time, which, by the way, guys, you should do.
Yeah,
as we'll
do that.
describe later in this trip. But we called the hotel ahead of time, and they're like, "Yeah, you have an electric car, cool. We've got 2 chargers right in the back." It's like, okay, sounds perfect. We arrive, and guys, when we're thinking level 2, the chargers you stop at overnight, like we've described in a transit station.
Yes.
Hotels have these as an overnight EV traveler. This is a godsend. Okay, our GoPro died. We're in Estes Park now. But anyhow, long story short, Electrify America station, DC fast charger hotel. Super odd. Like, we charge for 30 minutes. I take it off and repark, as you should always do. Because, like, not only, yes, can you incur idle fees theoretically, but also, like, you're hogging that. Your car is not actually charging. Someone might need that for a quick charge. Even in the middle of the night, there's other people traveling on road trips. So that was...
That was surprising, and it was so interesting because then the hotel itself had all of these neon green lights matching Electrify America. So I feel like they just were like...
The branding was on.
They're all in. They're all in branding-wise. And meanwhile, the next door...
Holiday Inn next door had actual level 2 chargers, but we weren't staying there, so we didn't use those. But it was fine. It actually turned out to be convenient, Gosia, because the morning after, the next morning, we go up to the Grand Canyon. Stay tuned for the next part to find out what happens on the rest of our road trip.